You're welcome to this session on saturation church planting, and we are going to talk now about the leadership in the church. Earlier we saw that the first church, the initial church, consisted of believers. It was a believers' church, and believers' church does not mean that they were powerless, because each believer was a royal priest, and he had all the authority of the family of God. That means he could expel demons, he could cure diseases, and he could disciple people. And this church grew up to the 5th chapter of Book of Acts, and then we see this second level of church being established, the church of disciples. And in those days the disciples multiplied, and so a very rapid multiplication took place, because disciples are those people who disciple others. And so when this discipling goes on at this rate, the church grows very, very rapidly. Now in the third phase, we see when Paul and Barnabas have been to several places in Cyprus and Antioch and Berea and all those places where they, in the first journey where they planted churches, they go back to those places. And then they appoint elders. In Acts 14:23, they fasted and they prayed and they laid hands on the people and appointed elders. And eventually all the churches had elders. And we see later on that Paul is writing to Titus, and in Titus 1:5 he says that he commands him actually to go and appoint elders in every city. So there were elders everywhere in every church who took care of the church, and it was a title that was a good title. And Peter in 1 Peter 5:1 says the only title he gives himself in throughout is the one, that of an elder. And so it was a coveted title, and it's a good thing. In 1 Timothy 3:1 we read that it's a good thing to be an elder. Of course there was no difference between an elder and bishop and all the other titles. They were all co-workers in the kingdom. And and the fourth stage that we have heard about is the fivefold ministry, the different charismata operating in the church, and that's the fourth stage of maturity of the church. And fifth and final stage, of course, is the church becomes apostolic. Like the Antioch church, when they send Paul and Barnabas, it becomes an apostolic church. That's the final stage of maturity of the church. And but we are going to look into some of the qualifications of the elder, who was the main pillar of the church in the first century church. And in Titus chapter 1 5-9 we read different things, the requirements for an elder. And the first requirement for the elder is that he should be a person of character. He should be a husband of one wife. He should not be a drunkard. He should not be a lawless person, and he should all those character traits, good character traits should be there to qualify as an elder. He should be a person of good reputation. Everybody respects him, everybody loves him. And so that's the first thing, character traits. And the second requirement to be an elder in the church was hospitality. He had to be a hospitable person. In fact, when you read a little later, you find it's the whole family, the elder's family, who are required to be hospitable. When the elder is not at home and some evangelist or believers or somebody in distress comes and visit, the wife should be able to welcome them and take care of them. And indeed, when husband and wife both are not there, even the children should be hospitable to them. So it's a very hospitable family. Hospitality is the first important step as we understand finding the man of peace. A person of peace is a person who invites you to stay there and to eat food. So hospitality is first step towards planting churches. And we see that this character trait of hospitality is advocated in many places in the New Testament. We see wherever Jesus went, people were hospitable to him, and he only went in fact to places where people received him. So hospitality is very important. And if we look at all the house churches mentioned in the New Testament, there is always the name of the lady of the house. Priscilla and Aquila. In Romans chapter 16 verse 5 we see Priscilla's name is mentioned. Many places, of course, Priscilla was a very good teacher, and her name comes, it comes 6 times, and sometimes her name comes before Aquila's name. So there we have a very distinguished lady, and in 1 Corinthians 16:19, Paul is saying, greet the church in thy house. And so also in Colossians 4:15 we have another lady over there, and Nympha, and in Philemon, there's only one chapter, in verse 2 we have Apphia. So always whenever a house church is mentioned, the name of the lady is mentioned. And in 16th chapter of Romans we have several people mentioned whom Paul is sending greetings, and obviously many of these are house church leaders, and there are names of several women in this chapter. So hospitality is a hospitable family that receives people, because if you're not hospitable, is hardly any chance of your planting a church. So first one is character trait, second one is being hospitable, and the third qualification required is that this person, in 1 Titus chapter 1 verse 9, is a person, he's a good teacher, he's a sound teacher, and he can teach not only just theology, but he teaches his people how to close the mouth of those people who contradict, those who oppose. So he teaches his people, his believers, in how to deal with difficult questions in the context in which they live. When people come and ask questions about their religion, faith and conversion, the people trained by an elder is one who is able to answer, give right answers, correct answers, and satisfy those people, seekers who come with great doubts and many questions. So he's a great teacher, he's a good teacher of the Word of God, of the Scriptures. And another function of the elder is that he is a good ruler. He takes care of his family, and and it says that if he cannot take care of his own family, how can he take care of the family of God? So he's a good organizer. He's an organized person, and he rules well, and people respect him for that and give him honor. So all these different qualifications, that his character traits, he's hospitable, he's a good teacher, and he's a good ruler. All these qualifications are required to be elder in the church. Just about every church that you read in the New Testament had elders in it. And we see the role of elders throughout in settlement of problems in the church. Even the great convention in the 15th chapter of Acts, when some people were advocating Jewish customs to be adopted by the new believers, the Gentiles were being forced, and then the elders meet, and they resolve this big problem. So they played a very crucial role, and it's very good for us to remember that in heaven there will be no prophets and no priests and no kings, and no bishops and no pastors, but certainly there will be elders. There are 24 elders already there, and so it's a good title to have. It's a good thing to aspire for, to be an elder in the church and to hold a responsible post. But these are the requirements that you have to have before you can be appointed elders. Elders does not necessarily mean old age, because Titus, who was appointing elder, Timothy, who was appointing elders, were young fellows. So it really means that these people are mature in faith, and they could be, and it doesn't also mean that elder means men only, but women can also be appointed. And in many places we know people like Priscilla and Phoebe, and all these people were respected women in the church, and certainly were respected as elders, and they were given all the honors which were necessary, which were given to men. So anybody who's mature in faith can be appointed elder in the church. And we see this church is very interestingly when Paul and Barnabas are going from Antioch to Lystra and Berea and all the other places. Once they establish the church, there are no leaders, there are no elders or no bishops and no pastors and nobody, and the church functions. It's only on their return journey they go back and then evaluate and find out who are people of faith, who are strong in faith, and these are the people then they are appointed as elders. So we don't have to have leaders appointed in the church first thing, but surely at some time or the other the church must be led by elders who give it guidance and correct teaching and help it to multiply. May God bless you.